Your phone buzzes on the nightstand. Your mother's name lights up the screen. You glance at it. You silence it and go back to your game. It feels like nothing. But the real reason that moment matters is far stranger and far bigger than a missed call. You think you just tapped a button. You didn't. You reached into one of the oldest, most studied bonds in human psychology, and you cut it off mid-signal. Here's what actually happens in that half second. Your brain registers her name. A small part of you, the part shaped before you could even speak, recognizes the call as more than noise. Psychologist John Bowlby spent decades studying this. He called it attachment, the invisible wiring that keeps a child oriented toward a parent for safety, even long after childhood ends. That wiring doesn't switch off at 13. It doesn't switch off at 19. It just gets quieter, buried under exams and group chats and 100 small distractions. But it's still there. Every time you silence her call without a second thought, you're not just being rude. You're overriding something ancient. So why does it feel so easy to ignore? Because your attention has been trained elsewhere. Researcher Jean Twenge has spent years tracking what constant phone use does to teenagers, and one pattern shows up again and again. The device in your hand competes directly with the people in your life for your attention, and it usually wins. Not because you love your phone more than your mother, because the phone is louder, faster, and right in front of your face. Your mother's voice is patient. Your notifications are not. Guess which one gets answered first? Think about how this plays out in an ordinary week. She asks you to take the trash out. You say, in a minute, and the minute becomes an hour. She calls you down for dinner. You finish your match first. She asks where you've been all afternoon. You give her 3 words and go back to your room. None of these moments feel like a crisis. Each one, on its own, is forgettable. That's exactly the problem. It's not one big betrayal that damages a parent-child relationship. It's 1,000 forgettable ones, stacked so quietly that nobody notices the wall being built. Now here's the reframe. This isn't really a story about a phone call. It's a story about a debt. Think about it differently for a second. Before you could ask for anything, someone was already awake at 3 a.m. for you. Before you could say a single word, someone had already given up sleep, comfort, and years of her own life just to keep you alive. That's not a metaphor. That's a fact of your first few years on this earth, whether you remember it or not. In Islam, this debt is treated as one of the heaviest anyone can carry. Obedience and kindness to parents is placed directly beside the obligation to worship God alone, not close to it, beside it. The Quran links gratitude to parents with gratitude to the Creator in the same breath, as if to say, you cannot claim to thank God while dismissing the person He used to bring you into existence. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, described a mother's care as carrying the weight of paradise itself, saying that paradise lies beneath her feet. Undutifulness toward parents isn't listed as a minor slip in Islamic teaching. It's counted among the gravest sins a person can commit, right up there with the most serious violations of trust. That's a strange thing to sit with, isn't it? A missed phone call doesn't feel like a major sin. It feels like nothing. Ignoring a text feels invisible, but scale it up. Every ignored call, every eye roll at a request, every in a minute that turns into an hour is a small transaction. And small transactions add up into a pattern. That pattern is either one of honor or one of neglect. There's rarely a single dramatic moment where a person decides to disrespect their parents. It's built by ignored call, until one day it's just how the relationship works. There's an old story often told about a man who carried his elderly mother on his back all the way around in Mecca, step by step, just so she could complete a pilgrimage her legs could no longer manage. When he finished, exhausted, he asked whether he had repaid her for everything she had done for him. He was told he hadn't repaid even a single night she spent awake worrying over him as a child. Sit with that math for a second. A grown man carrying his mother on his back for miles still hadn't broken even. If that's the scale of the debt, what does silencing one phone call actually cost? There's a reason this particular commandment shows up so early and so often across religious traditions, not just in Islam. Anthropologists studying family structures across cultures keep finding the same underlying logic. Societies that maintain strong obligations between children and aging parents tend to build more stable, more cooperative communities overall. So the next time your phone lights up and it's her name on the screen, ask yourself something before you decide what to do. Not, is this convenient right now? That's the wrong question. Ask instead, what is this call actually asking of me? Because it's rarely just asking for 5 minutes. It's asking you to remember who showed up for you when you couldn't even ask. Your phone buzzes on the nightstand again. Your mother's name lights up the screen. This time, you don't wait for the third ring.